Talk about the passing of New Jack. He passed last Friday. You were in Indiana. It broke while you were on. You were on Twitch.
I was on Twitch.
I saw Mikey Whipwreck was doing a virtual signing when he found out, and it just like it was such a weird time of the day where the news broke. Everybody was doing something, but the wrestling world like exploded. So we won't spend a million years on it, but just kind of talk about the passing. Losing another Extreme brother and the life of New Jack.
Yeah, I mean. If you knew New Jack and knew how he was, you knew that he partied, and he was very, very honest about using substances and how he lived his life. I thought he was clean. And somebody that I was talking to, they said, well, he was drinking. And then somebody else said, no, he was using. So I'm just like, okay, well, I don't know which is which, but his heart gave out. Now, whether it's just from years of partying or I don't know what the circumstances were, but I saw Jack, I want to say it was was it before? It might've been in 2019.
It was my convention.
No. It was WrestleCade.
Oh, it's WrestleCade because I know New Jack was at the convention that you and Shane were at in Richmond.
Yeah, but I did WrestleCade.
That was later in the year then. Okay.
Well, no, WrestleCade was 2018. I had to have seen him somewhere in 2019. But I saw him and he was fine. Didn't seem like what do you say? I don't know. I mean, I didn't hear he was sick. I was shocked.
Yeah.
And you get the people saying, well, why are you shocked? He was a drug addict. Why are you shocked? He was an alcoholic. I'm shocked because you don't expect to hear news like that. It just floored me for whatever reason. And I told you before, because of this new project that we're doing, the foreverfan.club, we've had group chats going on, and I'm in 2 or 3 different group chats. And the messages, I just want to tell everybody I love them. I love you. I love you. Overwhelming. Every 5 seconds, my phone was ding, ding, ding,
Oh my gosh,
and it was somebody saying, oh God, this is horrible. I just want to say I love everybody here and I love you and blah, blah. And it just got me, it just makes you sit down and think what is important in life? If you don't have your health, you don't have anything. It doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank. If you're sick and, you pass, what good is that money? It's just health, family and health. That's what's important in this world. So.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, he seems to have maybe even found a little bit of religion over the last couple of years.
I don't know about that.
No, I'm serious. There were some things that were out there that he had gotten a little more spiritual, maybe an online presence of some sort. But the thing was, if you get past a certain aspect of life where you were running so hard, unfortunately, that might catch up to you. But you almost feel like they were past. He was past that point. Maybe he dodged it enough, and then at 50, because 50 is just so young. It's it's just sad.
It's I just finished reading Chris Candido's book, No Gimmicks Needed, that Johnny was on here talking about. I finished it, and I cried. I cried while I was reading the book. I read it on the airplane, and I finished it when I got home. And it's just it's the same thing with Chris. It's he partied. He got his life together, starting anew. And then, he gets on an airplane when he's not supposed to, develops a blood clot, and he passes away at 33 years old. Now New Jack was 58, still young, very young. But in my mind, you're thinking all right, they're doing well. They're bettering themselves. I hadn't heard anything about Jack in a while, negative stories. So to get a phone call I found out through Twitch from a fan who told me in the chat New Jack died. And it just brought the whole room down. Everybody's like, what? And then everybody's checking the dirt sheets, and then I said to Chad, is it true? Is it true? And he just looked, and it was I think it was PW Insider.
Yep.
And we trust them. So I knew it was real, and it just, I was gutted, it just hit me really hard, and I couldn't even finish the Twitch. I was like, I have to go. And then, of course, I'm sad. And you get everybody and their mother coming over to the table that want to talk about it. And I didn't feel like, I'm going to be honest, I didn't feel like talking about it to strangers. Like,
right.
This was a friend that I've had for 20, 25 years. Like, I just wasn't into it at that point, So I posted just rest in peace, Jack, with a sad emoji. And it was 50-50. There were people who were like agreeing with me. And then there were hateful people who were just shitting on him. And I'm like, the man is dead. Like, don't even comment if you're going to be like that. I've known him. He's a friend of mine. Like, let me grieve. Like, why do you have to be such a dick and write?
Yeah.
It just was inappropriate. I know he's got a past. I know he did some stuff. He was always good to me. And that's how I judge people. You know what I mean? And to read some of these comments, I just stopped reading them. I was just like, okay, you're allowed to have your opinions. That's fine. But if somebody dies that somebody's close with, it's not cool to shit all over them and say negative things like that. I had to zone out.
Yeah, no, it's a very touchy subject, especially if you're just a casual observer as a fan. Mm-hmm. He had a really renewed presence because of Dark Side of the Ring. They did that thing about his life. And I look at that as more of his biography than it being a Dark Side of the Ring. I think of Dark Side of the Ring, I think they're looking at, they want to look at the screw job. They want to look at this. They want to look at all this bad stuff. But with New Jack, it was almost like his biography. And I know he had a book, but this was introducing him to a ton of fans. So people only knew the stuff they heard on that and various things they heard on shoot interviews and reading interviews. But just quickly, just what do you remember about meeting him and kind of getting to know the guy behind New Jack, Jerome Young, in ECW days?
Yeah, I mean, him and Mustafa came in, out of Smoky Mountain. They came over to ECW. Both of them were very personable, very likable. I just remember New Jack, he was a funny dude. He would pop us and just like one of the examples I have was from the thing that we did with Mike Johnson, the Extreme Roundtable thing for High Spots, when we all got together years later and we're all telling stories, and Jack was sitting to my left and he was drunk. He was drunk and fans were buying him like alcohol all day long because we were at a hotel. We were doing it in one of the ballrooms, and he came in double-fisted, sweating profusely. And I said to him, don't die on me, Jack, because my arm was sweaty. He was putting his head on my shoulder. My shoulder was sweaty, but that was Jack. You know what I mean? And I just remember, like, if you watch this episode, you'll see my facials are like just unreal because of Jack. He's burping, he's making noises, and Mike would be like, well, Jack, what do you think about this? And Jack, I don't remember. That was his answer. I don't remember. And I'm just like, Jack. He's just laughing his ass off. That was Jack. You know what I mean? He was a funny dude. That's the one thing that stands out in my mind about him, how funny he would be. And he would just be able to pop us. So, and a man with a sense of humor is like, that's what gets girls, and New Jack could draw the women. So.
How about the theatrics of him? The big dive off the balcony, the garbage can, the shopping cart, all that stuff. How much do you think that added to the mystique of not just him, but the kind of the outlook of everybody watching ECW?
There's two memorable people in ECW, more so for their music. Sandman's one of them, entrance, unreal, and New Jack.
Yeah.
New Jack was different because his music played the whole time. The whole time. It would never stop. And if it did stop, it looped and it started over again with the pew, you know what I mean? Everybody would say he's a garbage worker. He can't wrestle. Well, guess what? He could wrestle because there was one time early on when the boys would be in the ring before the match even started, before the show started. And sometimes like kids would come for tryouts. And the boys would get in. Tracy Smothers was great with that. He would get in and he would chain wrestle and he'd work these kids, right? Jack got in there and started doing these spots. And I was just like, damn. And I said, Jack, where'd you learn how to work? And he goes, I know, right? And he would chuckle. But he didn't have to work because he found his niche, and that's what got him over. But the boy could bump. The boy knew how to work. So for everybody who said he was a piece of garbage, it's not true. It's like when you find what works with you, or for you rather, you stick with that. And for Jack, that place not only popped when his music hit, but when he came out with that garbage can full of nonsense, the place went ballistic and everybody loved it. And it was different.
Yeah.
You know, it was different and it got him over. And he knew what he was doing.
Did you ever see him in Smoky Mountain?
I saw some promos, but I didn't really know his work.
So picture him there in Kentucky as the top heel. Basically, you know, militant, you know, black guy with a crew, and they're in this southern, you know, heart of, like, you know, not really being fond of a thug. You know, they're very, it was very racist. The tone of the people to him, not him to the people. His promos took on a life of their own, and this guy incited riots. People wanted to kill him, and essentially he had to get out of Smoky Mountain. But then he comes to ECW, and the gangsters are baby faces.
Pretty much, yeah. But they acted like heels.
They acted like heels, but they love them. The whole thing was unbelievable. But I think, people might say garbage wrestler, whatever. No, you see that guy flying off that balcony at the rate he did. It was like a perfect swan dive, the way he looks.
He was just an individual by far. I mean, his character and the way he did things, and like I said, the music playing, like, it was so unique. And I know a lot of our guys used weapons and stuff, but it just, you knew what you were getting for a New Jack match, and it never got old.
Yeah,
it never got old, and everybody loved it. And for those who didn't like it, it wasn't your cup of tea. I get it. But the majority of the fans ate it up, and he, like I said, he knew what he was doing.
Right,
for sure.
Gangsta's New Jack or solo New Jack? Which one? Which one are you going with?
I mean, I loved Mustafa too. He was a great guy. I liked the pairing. So I liked them as a tag team. Okay. But, you know, as a singles wrestler, Jack got the job done. You know, and they would pair him, you know, with different people down the line. And I mean, I never thought the pairings were that great as it was with Mustafa. Like, I love that pairing. And side note, I might have mentioned this before. They were thinking, well, I think Jack came to me and said, what if we put you with us? We put the little white girl with us. And I was like, oh, that'll get me some heat. He's like, I'll get you heat. But Paul didn't see it that way, and it never happened. But could you imagine if I was a gangster? That would be
unbelievable. In the big FUBU jacket, like this giant jacket. Oh, it would have been awesome.
No, I would have wore a bandana around I would have had the camouflage. I would have looked just like them.
Oh my gosh, that would have been great.
That would have been fun.
I could have seen that. That would have been cool. It would have been a good one night thing too, just to see what it looked like.
Oh no, he said, no, you're going to be with us. And I was like, so I had Jack wanting me to be a gangster. I had Brian Lee wanting to put me in some chaps and ride on the back of his motorcycle. Who knows who else wanted to?
Because they know go right to the top when they're paired with you. Go right to the top. Interesting thing. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say my career would have been so much different.
It would have been. It would have had an interesting little side nugget to it for sure. We found out that New Jack and Shane never had a singles match until 2018. So there was on an indie show. But so the only time. So I was just trying to think about, you know, Shane or you guys might have passed him. So I'm sure you did obviously later. But with Shane, you know, he only worked in one match or two matches with New Jack. That match we watched. That actually, I think New Jack might have been out of by the time Shane got to the ring. Yeah. And a random tag team match. It was the Gangsters versus Shane, and you might have been paired with him at that point, and Samu from the Samoan Gangsta Party. So you might have just been freshly paired with Shane, but that was the only time you saw New Jack and the franchise across the ring from each other. But that's the beauty of ECW right there.
Yeah. So it's very unfortunate, and he will be missed. I just, you know, what can you say? Just too many people are are leaving, and it just makes me sad because it's another one of my brothers that are gone. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up then for today. Just wanted to touch on it, the career. And I urge people, I said this on Triple Threat, just go back and watch the matches. Go back and watch the entrance. I put the song on last week, and Liz didn't know it was coming, and the speakers were blaring, and she heard that, and she was.
Did she run out with a trash can?
She went, "What the hell was that?" So there you go. So do that. Pay your tributes to New Jack in your way you see fit. So we'll say goodbye. If you got nothing else, we'll get on.
Just rest in peace. He's making people laugh up there in heaven, hopefully.
Very nice. And trash cans over the pearly gates to boot.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right. For the Queen of Extreme, Francine, this is the Chatster. We will catch you on the flip side.